Welcome to part 2 of the two-part series on the Axis members other than Germany, Italy, and Japan. Bulgaria gained independence as the Principality of Bulgaria and was partially under Ottoman control. The Principality did not have full independence and did not control all of the areas in which ethnic Bulgarians lived, and Serbia and Greece claimed part of their territory. A Bulgarian insurrection occurred in Macedonia in 1903, and tensions were high. In 1908, Ferdinand I of Bulgaria declared Bulgaria fully independent and crowned himself Tsar. The Ottomans remained Bulgaria's main enemy, and they formed an alliance with Serbia and Greece, which would be used to attack the Ottomans. In October 1912, the First Balkan War broke out. Bulgaria and their allies had outstanding success. Bulgaria wanted to take the region of Macedonia, but it was instead taken by Serbia because they claimed that Bulgaria did not accomplish their goals during the war without Serbian help. Serbia and Greece formed the new alliance against Bulgaria, and just after, Bulgaria declared war on them. Bulgaria would lose badly, and they had to give up a lot of territory. Bulgaria did not ally themselves with Russia when World War I came around and drew close to the Central Powers. When the war began, Bulgaria was able to push into Romania, Serbia, and Greece. The people of Bulgaria were tired of war, and the Russian Revolution of 1918 led to massive anti-monarchist sentiment. In 1918, the Entente pushed into Bulgaria, and they were forced to surrender. Tsar Ferdinand was forced to advocate in favor of his son, Boris III. Bulgaria lost its coastal territory on the Aegean to Greece, and were forced to relinquish their claims over Macedonia. When World War II began, Bulgaria declared neutrality, and the Treaty of Craiovia was negotiated by the Axis, and it gave back southern Dobruja from Romania. Bulgaria began to draw much closer to Nazi Germany. On March 1st, they signed the Tripartite Pact, officially becoming an Axis member. Bulgaria allowed German troops in their territory and would participate in the invasion of Greece and Yugoslavia. Bulgaria was given Macedonia from Yugoslavia and their former coastal territories from Greece. In 1943, Tsar Boris died and was replaced by his 6-year-old son, Simeon II. A council of regents took over the functions of king, and they appointed Dobry Brazhilov, a Nazi puppet, as prime minister. The Bulgarian people did not support the fascist regime in power, and communists, agrarians, social democrats, and many military officers formed the Fatherland Front in opposition to the Bulgarian government. By 1944, it was clear that Germany was losing the war, and Bulgaria was looking for a way out. Bulgaria tried to negotiate with the Allies, but it was not helpful, and the Allies would bomb Bulgarian cities. The Soviet Red Army was rapidly advancing into Romania and approaching Bulgaria. Bulgaria left the war, and Bulgarian soldiers were pulled out of Nazi-occupied territories. The Soviets reached the Bulgarian border. Bulgaria declared war on Germany to distract the Soviets from them, but soon the Soviets themselves declared war on Bulgaria and sent troops in. The Red Army would soon reach the Bulgarian capital of Sofia. The Fatherland Front overthrew the government and took over. The war ended, and Bulgaria kept southern Dobruja, but had to give up their claims over Macedonia. Bulgaria soon became a Soviet puppet state and a firm member of the Eastern Bloc. Yugoslavia was formed from territories in Serbia, Austria-Hungary, and Montenegro. Yugoslavia became a monarchy. By 1941, the king of Yugoslavia, King Peter, was 17 and was not yet of age to become king. Prince Paul, who was sympathetic to the Axis, became regent. On March 27th, officers from the Royal Yugoslav Army Air Force launched a coup deposing Prince Paul and replacing him with King Peter. Germany, Italy, and Hungary invaded Yugoslavia and divided it up. Macedonia was annexed by Bulgaria, Serbia was placed under German occupation, many of the coastal areas were occupied by Italy, and then the most independent area of the partition was the independent state of Croatia. During the invasion, Slovo Kovatornik, deputy leader of the ultranationalist Ustaše movement, proclaimed the state. It was heavily influenced by Germany and Italy. Ustaše head Ante Pavlik became Croatia's head. Italy pressured Pavlik to crown Italian Duke Aimone IV of Aosta as a figurehead king. Apparently, Aimone did not even want to be king, and he thought they were just a bad joke from his older cousin, King Vittorio Emanuele III of Italy. He accepted the crown but never even went to Croatia. The only real purpose of the state of Croatia was because if it was occupied by Germany or Italy, they would have to divert quite a lot of resources into pacifying the Croats who would fight for independence. Croatia would build 22 concentration camps in their territory, and they targeted Jews, Serbs, and Roma. Croatia would send small numbers of troops to the front lines in the Eastern Front. In August of 1944, Croatian Foreign Minister Mladen Lorkovic and Ante Vosic attempted a coup to overthrow Pavelic with the hope of taking over and allying Croatia with the Allies. The coup failed, but it weakened the country. By 1945, the Soviets, along with Josip Broz Tito's Yugoslav partisans, were advancing on Croatia. The capital of Zagreb fell, and many military forces retreated towards northern Italy and Austria. The independent state of Croatia in its entirety became part of Yugoslavia. The current Croatian constitution does not recognize the independent state of Croatia as representing the current country, and most Croatians see the 1940s as a bad period in their history. Finland gained independence from the Russian Empire during the 1917 Russian Revolution. Finland was not officially an Axis member. Instead, they only allied themselves with Germany because they feared a Soviet invasion. The large Soviet city of Leningrad was right on the border with Finland. The Soviets worried that Finland would aid the Germans in an invasion, and if that happened, Leningrad would fall within a matter of days. The Soviets demanded that Finland cede many areas on the Finland-Soviet border. Finland refused, and war began. The Soviets expected that Finland would surrender quickly, but that was not the case. The Soviets brought tanks and large amounts of soldiers. The Finnish fought back with guerrilla warfare. The Finnish had no tanks. No matter, they simply would throw Molotov cocktails, named after Soviet Foreign Minister Vyacheslav Molotov, at those tanks, and they would be set aflame. The Soviet soldiers wore brown uniforms that did not blend in at all with the snow. The Finns wore white and hid. Many soldiers could kill several Soviets and not be found. The war lasted from 1939 to 40. Finland would give to Soviet demands, but only because they could not afford to sustain the war any longer. Germany would invade the Soviets in 1941, and Finland would become involved. Finland would invade the Soviets in the Continuation War, and along with the Germans, would place Leningrad under siege. By 1944, the Soviets had pushed back the Finns, and they signed a peace agreement allowing the Soviets to keep the land they took. Finland was never actually fascist, and for the rest of the 20th century would remain a democracy. And that's where I'll leave it off. I hope you enjoyed this video.